Okay, welcome. Glad you're joining us again today on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We have a great program today as we're going to look more carefully today at the issue of marriage and the effect of marriage on the entire family. And we have a very special guest with us today, representing the Retrovive organization that runs a marriage seminar on the weekends 3 times a year, and for couples that would like to enrich and to enhance their marriage and spend a weekend doing so. So we have Denise and we have Martin with us today, and they're going to join us in our discussion of how marriages can be enriched and enhanced just in the course of a weekend together in a workshop. So stay tuned, and we're going to pick that up in just a minute. But first of all, I'd like to give you a little quote for the day, which I always do, start out with a quote, put our program today in perspective, okay? And the perspective is, and this quote is for men primarily. Men, choose your wife by your ear rather than your eye. And I think that's a good piece of information. You know, it's not just a matter of how a person looks. That's not the issue. It's how the person sounds and talks and thinks. Because out of the mouth is really how a person is and reflects how a person is. So listen carefully to what she says and make that your priority. Okay, men? There's your quote for the day. Now, Retrovive. We're going to take a look at that and see what it is that really makes Retrovive an important weekend together for a couple. So when I use the word Retrovive, so just so we're all on the same page, what is it? How would you put that in, just in a synopsis?
The word itself is a French word that means to rediscover.
All right.
And what it applies to marriage is we have different stages of marriage, where the honeymoon stage,
oh, yes,
where we're definitely in love first time, and then there's the stage where you sort of get the realization of life, and you find out that your spouse isn't as perfect as you thought they were.
Good.
And
everybody's been there. We all know what that is.
Yes. And if you don't have a good perspective on that, that could lead to misery.
Mm-hmm. So we have these stages of marriage, and we have these kind of phases, maybe, that we every marriage goes through. So Retrovive is a workshop, on a weekend, which attempts to help couples kind of think that through.
Correct.
And work that through and develop some strategies to make that marriage as strong as possible at each of these phases. So you're not looking at people who've been married 10 years just to come to workshop, or been married 20 years, or married, they have to be married 1 year. I mean, it's any length of marriage. Is that?
It's any length of marriage.
Length.
We've had
Young
couples,
old couples, yes.
we've had couples come to us that have been married a year, a couple of years, and we have a couple who came. It was I believe their 45th maybe anniversary, and they attended Retrovive. So it's for all.
If you feel the need to enrich your marriage, Retrovive weekend is one way to do it.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Whether this is you're into it for a year or you're into it 50 years.
Correct.
Doesn't really matter.
Retrovive is actually geared towards hurting marriages. There's another ministry. We actually were created from Marriage Encounter, which is for good marriages that are just looking to kind of polish that up. Retrovive was created from that because Marriage Encounter was finding that they had so many couples attending their weekends that had troubled marriages.
Oh, so a little deeper then.
Correct.
Yeah, we're going a little deeper here now. So couples that have some glitches, not just kind of want to improve their marriage a little bit, but they have a couple glitches they haven't
deep in
worked
crisis,
through.
actually.
That they probably brought with them into the marriage.
Yes.
Or created in the course of their marriage.
Yes.
But there's a little glitch there somewhere.
Right.
And it might be even a deep one. Might be a scar. I mean, if you think of that sense.
It could be some issues way back from your childhood.
So that's the couple that would really benefit from a weekend at Retrovive.
Yes.
Ah, well, we're going to find out a little bit about that as to how a couple can do that. I mean, where they go and how they can participate in Retrovive. But let me ask you this question. You guys been married how long?
21 years.
21 years. When did you go to Rectifive? I assume you did.
In 2008.
So you were married how many years after that? Or before that?
11.
11.
So after your 11th, 12th years of marriage.
Our 10th
Yes.
year of marriage. No, 11th, correct.
Yeah, 11th year of marriage, you show up at Rectifive.
Yes.
Yes.
What happened? What happened to
We-
you? What's your story?
We are a blended family.
I see.
So we have, Marty had no children, and I had 4 children.
I see.
2 were school age, 2 were older. And so that in itself brought along a whole different set of issues, along with just the married
Sure.
issues,
Sure.
trying to,
Sure.
2 people trying to live together. And so we eventually, got to where we were butting heads to the point of where we contemplated divorce.
Oh, already.
Yes.
Issues, how to raise kids,
Yeah.
money issues, and
You guys were in trouble.
Yes.
You
Real
guys were in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah. So you reached out, and Rectifive was there.
Yes.
Yes.
So you went to a weekend. And then you followed through. I gather there's kind of a little bit of a follow-through program. You do this
Yes.
for a couple months after?
It's actually a 3-month program
see. So
from
you
the
go to a
weekend
weekend and
to
then
the
you-
yes.
Then you follow through. So, okay, so you're in trouble. You go this weekend, and I assume you come up with some kind of a strategy or some way of resolving some of these issues. Maybe you didn't resolve them all, but you resolved some of them.
Well, we sort of knew we had to stay involved, because if you don't stay involved, we have a tendency to fall back to our old ways.
Yes.
So we volunteered ever since. Since the last 10 years, we've been.
So you've been in this
We've
program
been volunteering.
Yes.
Yes.
all these years just
And-
because you're volunteering the program, so you get some benefit.
Correct.
You know,
It
from
strengthens our marriage.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And for clarification, we don't solve their issues. We simply teach them how to communicate and how to communicate effectively with respect, because that's where we start to, I think, in a marriage, when you start having problems, you don't actually hear what
Sure.
the other person is saying. When they start
Sure.
talking, your brain is already trying to come up with your rebuttal instead of
How to win the argument.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, we
Exactly.
all want that.
Yeah.
That's not a man thing, by the way.
no.
That's an everybody thing. We
It
all
is.
want
I
it.
definitely
Yes, it
had that
is.
problem.
But let me tell you this. In my marriage counseling, I often talk to couples about their communication skills. That's usually why they come to counseling. It's one of the major reasons people come to counseling, is because they don't communicate effectively. Now, here's what I find out. After meeting with them just a short period of time, I say, you guys communicate. You talk all the time. You talk greatly. But what you don't do is you don't follow through. So it's not a communication problem. It's a follow through of the communication. Whatever they've talked about or decided or planned, they don't follow through. Was that your case, or do you find that to be true in couples?
Yes, what benefited me the most was there's conflicts in every marriage, and for some reason I had this mentality that I had the winning argument, and then Rectifive made me realize that it's not an argument at all. It's my wife's and her opinion. It's myself and my opinion, and a lot of issues we won't agree upon, but that's okay. It's okay.
Is that all right? But whatever you do agree upon, it really is important to follow through.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
see that's where a lot of couples really fall down. Is that, they may follow through for a week, or maybe a couple weeks, but, and then they go back to their old ways of living.
We work on the communication where we develop our listening skills, and we learn to really listen to each other, and we find out that a lot of topics that we thought we were in conflict with,
Sure.
we were actually in agreement with, but we just never took the time to really listen.
That's the issue there.
Yes.
See, communication is not just talking. That's how we think, right?
Correct.
I want to talk, you want to talk, I want to talk, you want to talk. Nobody wants to listen.
Exactly. Nobody listens. And
That's
so
right.
one of the things that we do also is we help them develop plans on how to follow through with their bigger issues. We don't ask them to tell us what their big issues are. They discuss it.
Oh, that can be confidential, basically,
right,
to them.
To them.
But the important thing is that they agree to something.
Right.
And then follow through.
Yes.
And that's your job, is to help them think through ways to follow through.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? Let me ask you this before we go to break, and I want to just kind of make it a little more personal. What did you guys gain from going to Rec Revive for a weekend and then following through for the next couple of months? How did that strengthen your marriage? Or maybe the way of saying it is, what is the strength of your marriage as a result of going to Rec Revive? How did you become a strong couple?
You want to go first?
I learned insight, perhaps, on of myself. First of all, you learn about your past and why you are the way you are, and then I learned by our dialoguing with Denise the type of person that she is and how she was raised and how she views the world. But it also opened me up to better communication, not only with my wife, but with my stepkids. And I've improved in those relationships, but also in my job with my students. I have more tolerance, it seems, I have ninth grade students, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you're in high school. Teacher,
and you need patience and tolerance to be an
So it spreads over. It isn't just a marriage issue. It's a personal life issue.
It's my whole communication
skills. And it spreads over
skills.
into your life, whoever you deal with.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say the strength of your marriage? What's?
I would say that for sure, our faith in God has become stronger. Mine has always been strong, but together, it's even better. And I don't want to mislead anybody. We still have our struggles, but we know what to do. We're not perfect. In fact, when there's a process that you go through, all the time you write letters on subjects. And we do that, and at the end of our letters, we sign them whip and hit, which means wife in progress or husband in progress, because we'll always be a work in progress.
And we'll never be perfect.
And we'll never be perfect.
You know, you said something very profound, and I just want to underscore that. It isn't the problem you have. It's knowing what to do. And you said that you have a system. You know how to take a problem and do something with it. Resolve it in some way. Work it through. And that's the strength. That's the strength of a marriage, is to know what to do. Then you're not afraid of a problem. Correct. Because any problem can come if you know what to do.
And you're not afraid of that problem escalating.
That's right. Because you can deal with it. You can resolve it. You can keep it under control. You can moderate it, and you can live with it.
Yes.
Well, we're going to take a break. Hey, this is good. They're going to take a break and come on back and talk to Denise and Martin a little bit further as we look at Rec Revive, but we also look at just the quality of a marriage and how you can have a quality marriage in your life. So take a look at our ads, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
The Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-297-9438 and visit greengablescarehome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained, from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010, and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, thanks for coming back and joining us as we continue our discussion on can this marriage be saved? And we're really looking at the workshop that is held 3 times a year, and actually it's held all around the world, you were telling me.
That's correct.
Not just in America, but all around the world, Rectivi. And it's a way for couples to come together and spend a workshop and really learn how to become a higher quality couple. And then obviously the family results from that, and it would be a benefit to the kids and the family. As you become a better marriage, the family becomes a better marriage, right?
That's
Most
correct.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so we're here with Denise and Martin, and we're looking at ways in which you people teach couples that come to you as in a workshop setting. When, what do you have, about 15 couples, 20 couples?
It can
Come
vary.
on a
It's
weekend?
anywhere from 15 to 30 couples,
30 couples.
sometimes a little
So I'm
more
not
than that.
coming to something alone. I'm coming with a
No.
whole bunch of couples
Yes.
that all come because they have something going on. They got a glitch in their marriage.
That's
Yes.
correct.
And so we're all in the same boat,
Yes.
right? And probably have the same problem.
Well, and that's one thing. We don't ask anybody to reveal what your personal issues are.
I
Those
see.
are between you and your spouse.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, so you don't have to publicly indicate that I have done this or
No.
that or,
No.
uh-huh.
We don't require anybody to stand up
We-
and give testimony or anything like that. It's all what you take in.
Well, it's all personal.
It's all
That's
personal.
kept between, nobody's asked to stand up and give testimony. That's between you and your spouse.
Okay, so whatever your issues are, you deal with that by yourself. So I assume the couples then have time to go off and talk
Yes.
with each other.
After each session.
You have a session, you teach them some skills.
And actually, we don't use the word teach. We give them, we offer them tools.
All right.
And it's up to them to use the tools that we give them. We will instruct them if they need clarification on how to use those tools.
So a tool would be
Yes.
how to speak up, how to be assertive a little bit more, how to be a better listener.
Correct.
Take in what is being said, understand what is being said, dialogue back and forth.
Correct.
Yeah, we
Yes.
start off with dialoguing, and during the dialogue, there's a question where you identify a feeling,
All right.
and so you
I'm angry.
right.
Perhaps,
And-
yes.
And from there, we have the couples explain the anger in some analogies, I would say.
Yes, yes.
Like a physical sensation, an image.
Oh, some of the manifestations of anger and some of
Right.
the ways that they feel it and know that they're angry. Yeah.
So,
okay.
and
Yeah.
one of our main emphasis is that their feelings are neither right nor wrong, and it's what you do with those feelings. You can be angry,
Sure.
but you can't, throw a dish at somebody because
That's
you're
right.
angry.
That's right.
You can't verbally attack them because you're angry. The point of dialogue is to take a situation and use your feeling words to describe how you feel about that situation, and then to in a way that your spouse understands,
Sure.
without it being a threat. We don't let them use the word you. It's all about me. So I'm angry.
Oh, it's not a blame deal.
No.
You do
No,
this, you
it's
do
not.
that, you
It's
do.
not.
No.
This
Not
is.
at
If
all.
I'm angry because he leaves his clothes on the floor, I can't say that. I can say I'm angry because, I don't like picking up clothes on the floor, or but we don't allow them to use certain words like the word you. So it takes we try and describe what we feel and why we feel that way.
That's a great skill, to learn.
Yes, and it's difficult.
It's very difficult
because
when
we're
learn.
used to blaming.
Yeah. Oh, that's the easiest way to do it.
Yes.
If we can blame our spouse, we can blame our kids. Just telling them what's wrong with them and what they ought to be doing differently, and we become very dictatorial and very authoritarian. But this is the other way around. This is becoming more of a learner and more of a expressing your own frustration, your own feelings.
Yes, in a sense, we're supposed to, the premise of that is that you can only change yourself and not your spouse.
That's a great premise, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. I got control over myself, what I do and what I don't do.
And you have no control over the other person. So you listen and without judgment.
Yeah. See, if I want a good marriage, if I want a better marriage, I want a great marriage, I want a wonderful marriage, there's certain things that I need to do. And there's certain things that I need not do, should not do, must not do.
Yes.
So, and I get that's the kind of way you're looking at it, in the sense of what I need to do, what I need to say, what I need to express, what I need to ask, what I need to share. And then some of the things that I share are some of the things that I want and are important to me, and some of the things that are not wanted and unimportant to me. Is that kind of...
Yes, and that's when we do the dialogue, because that's the best and it's the safest way to communicate.
It is.
So
it
when
is.
we do the dialogue and we have them write the dialogue out so that they don't stray from it,
Yeah.
and that way it's a safer situation.
And we always have them affirm each other in these dialogue letters. That's very important.
Correct.
So they spend some time listening to a lecture or a talk. They then go to a safe place, to their room, I assume.
Yes.
And then they talk to each other. They write down their dialogue, their discussions,
Yes.
and then share that with each other.
Correct.
Yes.
And as I said, they're given a list of words that they can use that are safe words, and it's a process. We're very lenient in the beginning.
I would imagine it is, because most couples don't do this. So
Correct.
they're learning a whole new process.
Yes.
Yes.
At the same time, they're trying to work some issues through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a process, and you're still learning it after 10
Yes, you
years
are.
of
Oh, you
being
are.
involved in the program. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good thing you're learning it still 10 years later. I mean, as compared to just going 10 years and having learned nothing.
Well, and society is very much, we're a society of instant gratification.
Yes, we are.
If, I think we kind of see where people believe that if you're not happy, life's short, move on. And we're about anything that's worth something
Yeah.
is worth fighting for. And
What would you say is an example of somebody that's been to the workshop, spent a weekend, then comes to some of the follow-up sessions over the course of the next 3 months. 3 months later in their marriage, What do they tell you? How are they different? What impact has this made on their life? What's a kind of an average person's story, or what's a typical result that you hear, from the people that have been in this workshop, and now 3 months later they say, "Oh, I want to tell you what happened to us," or where we are today.
Yes.
Are they all divorced, or are they all in the marriage and they're all working? What's the outcome?
We have a really good success rate. I'm not sure the number, 80-90% success rate for couples who were on the verge of divorce that don't. And most of the time, when we talk to other couples, we have these follow-up sessions after the workshop, the post sessions, and then we have a once-a-month core. It's called Continuing Our Retrouvaille Experience, where we all get together, we break bread, and we have a short presentation, and it's more fellowship. And so we talk to couples, and it's funny. It's like your problems don't disappear. You still have the same problems. It's just how you deal with the problems.
Sure.
Is what's
so
different.
Really what you're saying is that when they come to your workshop, come home 3 months later, they have problems.
Correct.
But they're dealing with those problems,
and
they're dealing with them differently,
right,
than they dealt with them before. That's the big deal.
That's
huge.
That's the difference.
That's
the
huge.
difference from when they started to when they finished the program. And it's great to see. We don't promise miracles, but it's great to see the change. And they will tell us, I didn't know that she felt this way about this, or I didn't know that he was had such strong feelings about this particular thing that was going on. So it just really opens up the communication for them.
Yeah. So really, when people come to a workshop and focus on their marriage, because ultimately that's really focusing on your whole family, you're not really taking away problems. You're not really solving problems or eliminating problems, although there might be some of that. What you really are doing is teaching a method of dealing with problems, so those problems don't become overwhelming and become out of control thereafter, but are more manageable, and the marriage then becomes much more satisfying to everybody. I mean, is that kind of a good summary?
Well, yes, it is. I would, personal issue here with me was I had a tendency to be sarcastic when things didn't go my way, not only towards Denise, but to my stepchildren.
You're the only man that ever admitted that, by the way.
See what RetroVite will do?
And it did put a dent on the relationships. But since
sarcasm is anger, very basic anger.
Right. And I guess it was a way for me to not express the anger directly, but I figured if I did it in that indirect way, it would be okay, but it's never okay. So, but since RetroVite, I've learned that about myself, and my relationships have improved all around with everyone. So I'm grateful for that.
So really, if you're thinking of helping your children, helping your family, you have to start with helping your marriage.
Yes.
That's correct.
And one of the ways to help this marriage is to consider RetroVite.
Yes.
I mean, this would be a good way to come into a renewal of your family home. I mean, I gather the kids benefit from this, do they?
Oh, absolutely.
Most definitely.
I mean, you're talking about couples, going through this whole weekend, but I gather the benefit is really the kids in the family.
Yes.
I mean, you have these 4 kids, and
yes. Well, now we have the grandkids, and it's nice to know that, and we have our grandkids a lot. It's nice to know that our grandkids have a safe haven in their grandparents' home, that it's a positive, loving environment.
And one of the, we present some of the talks, and one of the things that Marty talks about in his portion of the presentation is that when we went to RetroVite, we had I had one grandson, but he was older. And so by the time we went to RetroVite, he was probably about 10 or 11 years old, maybe 12. Well, we have 3 grandkids between the ages of 6 and 9, and he says, if we had divorced, that is something that not only he would have missed, but his, our grandkids think he is walks on water almost. Yeah.
That's neat. That's good.
And that's something that
that'd be
they
way.
would have missed.
Yeah.
You know, his love and attention to them. And so it does it. I think couples don't realize the ripple effect that a divorce has. They don't think about it.
It's not just the divorce. It's even the talk of it. It's even the sound of it. It's even the thought of it. It's even the preparation for it, the anticipation of it, is the thinking that that's an option, even giving it voice, even giving it consideration as an option. That's dangerous too, and that's destructive.
Yes.
So I mean, you have divorce out here, but you have all this stuff that goes on. So that you have a destructive year or 2 years or whatever it is, whether you divorce or not. So if you go to Rector Vive, you really intercede there. You break that chain, you break that pattern, and then come out of that. Obviously, that's what you want.
Right.
80%, let's just say 80% of the couples benefit in some positive way, like you said. That's huge. That's wonderful.
And the best thing, Marty talked about our monthly program, which is after they've completed the weekends and the post sessions. Then we offer this monthly fellowship program, and that's every single month. And we have friends that have become our best friends. We travel with them. Some of them have grandchildren, and we travel with their grandchildren. But what that fellowship meeting does is it keeps us, it reminds us
Keeps
of
us grounded.
and the accountability. We're accountable to each other.
Sure.
You know,
Some
so
people
it's
say
a
it keeps
great,
you focused or keep you grounded or keep you on task.
On task.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's super.
for
Hey, we're
sure.
going to take a break.
Okay.
It's a good spot, and we'll come back to that very point in just a minute. But talking with Denise and Martin of Rector Vive, and I want you to kind of take a little break here now and look at your own marriage, and maybe you have a little question about your own marriage. Have it in your mind, and maybe you get an answer as we talk a little bit further about ways in which marriages can be enriched. And this is one way, but there are many other ways, as well. So we'll come back to that. See you in a bit.
need a dentist who has a passion for superior aesthetics and comfort, you need Dr. Christopher Wong with Cedar North Dental. Call 559-432-4948 or visit cedarnorthdental.com.
Hey! Try to close the club. Tanya, come here.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen in my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4
or making contact.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
Sat7 is a Christian media network that uses uncensored satellite television to broadcast across the Middle East and North Africa, and is also available globally online.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, welcome back, and we're talking about marriage, and can this marriage be saved? And Martin and Denise are with us from Rectify, and they do a workshop 3 times a year, and 20, 30, 40 couples come together and spend a weekend together looking at how their marriage can not only be improved, but enriched, but also strengthened for the long term and for the long go of it. And you gave a pretty good statistic of a good success rate of the couples that go. Now, they're not all perfect when they come out of it, but they are improved, I gather, you know, as they come out of it. And that's what you said, about 80% of the couples that come are really better in their relationship and how they communicate and how they deal with problems. May still have problems, but they have a way of dealing with problems. And that's what couples really want. They really want a kind of a formula, so to speak. You know, how I can address a problem.
And it's never going to be perfect. You will continue to go through those cycles of honeymoon, misery, and rediscovery. You don't stay in one cycle for the rest of your life.
You know, we have an audience out there watching us today, and what can you tell them? You know, many of them are married. Many of them are going to be married. So what is the lesson? Out of the rectory, we'll pick something that might be a nugget of truth or a nugget of value or help that you could share with our audience today. Where would you start?
Well, if we had one basic piece of information or helpful tip we could give them. When you're trying to explain why you don't like something or when you're talking, make it about, don't use the word you. Make the statements, this is how I feel because whatever the reason is.
Could you say something like, I feel upset when you XYZ?
No.
You don't want that?
No, because you've used the word you, and now you're saying that, I would say, if I said that, I'd be telling Marty, you're the cause of me being unhappy.
Okay. So I would say, I feel upset when things happen around here that are out of control.
Something like that,
or
yes.
Are out of place.
General terms.
More general terms. But placing blame does nothing
I
but...
see. Well, as hurt.
And then it causes him to be defensive. So
really you want to express how you feel about something, how something affects you.
Correct.
And how it impacts your life.
Yes.
And if you can just stay to that, then the rest of it will follow.
And most of the time that's we use a good example in one of our enrichment programs that we went to. The speaker said there was a couple, and they were a very elderly couple, and the husband always made his wife a sandwich at lunchtime, and he said, here's the sandwich. And she said, finally one day, she tells him, why do you keep giving me the ends of the bread? I don't like the ends of the bread. And he said, because that's my favorite part. So he was sacrificing something for her that he thought was the best part of the bread.
She never took it as a sacrifice. She didn't appreciate it.
No, she didn't.
In the way that he was hoping that she'd appreciate it.
So most of that is communication.
That's right.
I don't like the ends of the bread.
Even if
Marty
you do.
Likes it.
I do.
So it's things like that. It's trying to figure out why. We sometimes do things and we don't know why. and it just creates more.
I think
what would
so.
you say? Like just
conflict in general.
Correct. Yeah.
My advice would be look at the glass half full and not half empty. That was she used to remind me of that, because during our misery stage, I would oftentimes I'd keep score. I would think of, okay, I'm working this many hours, I'm doing this, I'm making this sacrifice, and in my mind it was I was just degrading my wife and my family, thinking they were taking advantage of me, and I was totally off base with that. I just didn't realize that they were working just as hard at what they were doing than I was, and I wasn't able to find joy in my kids and in my wife, and even in my job. I think at the time I wasn't too happy with my job, but I've learned to find joy even in that. So
I often hear couples say, "I bring in X many dollars,"
right,
and you bring in.
You can't
only
look at it
X
like
many
that.
dollars.
You can't look at it like that.
And therefore, I should have more
Right.
privilege or more advantage or something like that because I bring in more.
You should
A
not
lot of
keep
people
score.
think that way.
You should not keep score. That's just going to create hostility in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like your point. We add up what we do or how much
Yes.
dollars we bring in, because we can add 1, 2, 3.
Right.
But when you say this is the value that I bring, this is how I contribute, to the marriage, to the family, there are no dollars you can put on that.
Right.
There's no value. It may be a very simple task, but it means a lot.
Right. For instance, we had our grandkids were sick this week, and Denise was taking care of them 24/7. I mean, you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't.
No.
No, you can't. Let me ask you this question. Is there an ideal marriage?
Absolutely.
Is there an ideal marriage?
No.
I mean, is there some kind of a perfection out there that we're all trying to become and achieve? Is there an ideal marriage?
No.
Wow.
People will show you one side, that the side that they want you to see, but you don't live in their home and you don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yes.
So you can always have a better marriage.
I like your word there. It's my marriage. I can make it better.
That's correct.
And I don't have to think of that. I have to make it this ideal marriage. I just have to improve today, improve tomorrow, improve next month, and keep on the improving process.
Yes, and that's part of what I said earlier is we're a work in progress, and we know that. We're not striving for, we're not looking for, and this is a journey.
Sure.
It's not a destination. That's what I'm trying to say. It's it'll continue to be a journey for as long as we're alive.
Now, let me ask you this question. America's in trouble. I mean, the marriages and the family life in America is in trouble. The divorce rate's high. People living together without marriage at all. Children being born under various circumstances, and the crime rate and the dysfunctional rate in our homes is just enormous. I don't know what's wrong, but can you fix it? Can America go to retro-vi? I mean,
I think one of
what's the
the
word?
things that we have seen that we judge, we've talked about this, and I think America thinks that money, a nice house, taking your children to the most expensive adventure, that's going to solve everything, and it doesn't.
It's the things. It's the things. It's the.
We're a material society, and I think that's a big part of the problem. We're not about spending time with each other, spending time with your children, quality time.
So we become a society of pleasure as compared to person. Would that be a
Yes,
way of saying that?
I believe that.
The person is your spouse. The person is your family. The person is your extended family. I mean, that's where the value is, isn't it? Not just the pleasure, because that's today and then gone tomorrow kind of a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we, that's where you develop communication problems.
I think so.
Because you're so busy doing all the fun stuff, but not really doing it together or in a personal manner where it's about the two of you or the two of you and your children.
Yeah.
And really sitting down and talking with them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
How's their day?
How would you fix America? Marriages in America, family life in America.
I watch the news and I just get overwhelmed. So I kind of rely on the Serenity Prayer that says, "What do I have control of?"
Give us a synopsis of that. That's
she knows it.
That's a beautiful prayer.
You remember it?
The ability and the power to do what we can do. Something about.
Retrovite has changed just a little bit of the Serenity Prayer, and our Serenity Prayer is, God grant me the wisdom to change
what I can change.
To change what I can. I'm getting confused here. The wisdom to change the.
Sorry,
I can't. I know. I'm sorry.
It's the ability to let go of what you can't do anything about.
But at the
and to know
end,
the difference between those two.
Yes, and the end we say, and the wisdom to know that one is me. That the one you can change is me, not everybody else. That's the way we have changed it at the end.
I'll say that again very close. We get that. That's a very important point. I like it.
Can I refer to the book?
The wisdom to know the one is me.
I see.
It's in there.
It's in our book.
It's in our book.
And that's the one you can change.
I can't change him, but I can change me.
Yeah.
And those changes can help create change in him.
Right, and I can only affect the people that are most closest to me, the people that I interact with every day. So my students, my family, my children, my friends, and whoever I come in contact with,
it has a ripple effect.
Has a ripple effect.
The song that I like is "Let There Be Peace on Earth."
Yes.
And let it begin with me.
Yeah.
I mean, if we get into that kind of thinking, let there be peace in our marriage, but let it begin with me. Let there be peace in our home, our family life, but let it begin with me. That's kind of the one I relate to and understand. But it's the same message. You got to start somewhere. Yeah. And we all want to point our finger and start with him, her, they.
The 40-day challenge on Fireproof, the movie, excellent. It's an excellent, if you want to do something to help your marriage, watch that movie and do the 40-day challenge.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to take a brief break, come back for a closing, and kind of tell us if somebody wants to become part of the Retrovite program, how can they become part of it? We're going to find that out when we get back. So get your last cup of coffee and join us back in about a minute and a half.
Hey there, world. I'd like to introduce you to someone really special and really cool. This is my mom. My mom is an amazing person. She is a writer. She is a newly transplanted Texan. She is a woman of faith and she loves 80s music. She also is a person with a very rare genetic muscular disorder called Pompe disease.
Pompe disease is a terminal, progressive illness. It's a genetic enzyme deficiency which ultimately leads to the destruction of your skeletal muscles. Those are the muscles that control how you move, your arms, your legs, and your torso. When your jaw or esophageal muscles are affected, you can no longer eat and require a feeding tube. When your diaphragm is impacted, you can't breathe on your own any longer and require a trach ventilator. When your legs are impacted, you will no longer be able to walk without assistance. You can lose bladder and bowel control. It affects children and adults, and eventually it kills you. It is rare, but it's real.
Now, we're lucky. My mom's still able to walk, though she uses a cane to get around most of the time. She's still able to breathe unassisted, but she can't go upstairs, and she needs some kind of assistance to get up from a seated position, like if she's sitting in a chair. She has to examine every activity ahead of time to know if there are things like handicap parking, accessible buildings, and even functional bathrooms. All of her activities depend heavily on the weather. A windy day can be just as dangerous as an icy one. She jokes that you can tell what kind of day she's having by whether she can lift her arms high enough to do her hair. And she recently moved into a one-story house specifically with the idea that she's one day going to need a wheelchair to get around. Those are the kind of things she has as everyday concerns. Her normal everyday fears are things like dropping her keys or falling in public and not being able to get up. That actually happened a couple of years ago. She fell and fractured her pelvis because she was unable to break her fall.
I receive an enzyme replacement therapy every 2 weeks for life. It's a 6-hour IV. It helps slow the progression of the disease, but it is not a cure. And it costs about $100,000 every time you sit in a chair. Insurance takes care of most of that if you're lucky, but not everyone is, and the expenses add up very quickly. Things like wheelchairs, accessible vehicles, special housing, travel costs to medical conferences, doctor's appointments, and clinical trials. Luckily, there is a group that helps families with Pompe handle these costs. The United Pompe Foundation is a group connecting funds with real people who need help. This was founded by a father whose son has Pompe disease, and they could not find the resources that they needed. They assist patients and their families with medical costs and other expenses that they need to survive day to day. Every little bit helps.
There are a lot of things in life that we really take for granted, and sometimes the scariest things in the world are the things that you can't see. So today we're asking for you to help us shed a little light on a rare and scary disease. Please share this video with your friends, your family, strangers, anybody that you come across. Education is a big thing. It makes a big difference. And another way to make a really huge difference in someone's life is to go check out the United Pompe Foundation. Their website is in this video description. Click on it, check it out, and go ahead and donate some money if you're able to. Again, this is an organization giving real help to real people who are amazing and need it, like my mom. I love her, and thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you so much.
All right, welcome back. In our last segment here now of looking at marriages in the world today. Can this marriage be saved? And we're talking with Martin and Denise of Retrovive, and kind of a retreat weekend for you and your spouse in a marriage weekend of spending some time looking at the glitches and looking at the issues of your marriage and how you can just take a weekend together and put some answers to them. Put a package together, put a system together by which problems are dealt with in your marriage and within your home. A great way for you to invest in a weekend of time. And where are these held locally? Give us a little information as to if I wanted to go to a Retrovive weekend in the near future, when would that be and where would I go?
Well, the Fresno community holds their weekends. We hold, let me get this right, we hold November and June weekends up at Three Rivers off the 198.
St. Anthony's Retreat Center in Three Rivers.
And then we hold one at St. Nicholas off of the 180 in March.
Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to sign up, I wanted to go to that, how do I do that? Do I call somebody or do I write a letter to somebody? Or
you can go to our website, which is www.helpourmarriage.com.
It's on the screen right in front of us.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can click on the state, and then it'll give you some cities, and you pick the one closest to you, and it'll tell you.
So if I lived in Minnesota, I could go to a Retrovive.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If I lived in Canada,
yes,
I could go. If I lived in Sweden,
yes.
Yes.
If I lived in South America,
yes.
Somewhere,
yes.
Oh, so all over the world, basically.
Yes.
If I lived in Ireland.
Yes.
Yes.
We have a. There are actually 245 communities throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
And in the U.S. and Canada, we have 130 of those. So we are in 27 different countries, and we are in many languages.
And every country, every place has it on different dates.
Correct.
So you can't really say November in Sweden.
No.
No.
So you have to kind of
go to
contact that website, find out the country of Sweden, find out where it would be held, when it would be held, and then register it there locally.
Yes.
I mean, that's really what they do.
We have over, worldwide, Retrovive has about 345 weekends a year that are held throughout the world. So there's usually 5 to 10 communities throughout the world holding a weekend.
And just within this area, the Central Valley, there's a community in Bakersfield, Fresno, Modesto, Monterey, San Jose, Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento, and we all alternate our weekends. So
I see.
if you really had to go
If you
on
want to go a particular weekend, you can find a place to go.
You can
Yes.
find a
Wouldn't
place to
necessarily
go.
be locally, but find a place to go.
Yes.
That's correct, yes.
You know, one thing that I'm just wondering about, it's not a cult.
No.
You're not trying to generate a cult.
No.
You know, where you're trying to get people to come and then you control their life, dictate what they do, what they don't do, how whether they can marry or not, or whether they do this or not. I mean, you're not within that cult world.
No. Our ministry is about trying to give couples the opportunity to heal their marriage through love, trust, and forgiveness.
Beautiful. I like that. In fact, I want you to say that again. I think that's beautiful. I like the last part of it there.
It's about healing the marriage through love, trust, and forgiveness.
That's what this is all about.
That's it. All we're
So
about.
you don't have to belong to something.
No.
You just go for a weekend, you learn some things, you go home and you implement them in your life and your family.
Correct.
You belong to your family, you belong to your
Yes.
marriage, not to you people.
No.
Yeah.
And building trust is going to take time, and so is the forgiving process. That may take time.
That all
too.
takes time.
That all takes time.
Forgiveness. Tremendous power, isn't it? There's a lot of power in forgiveness. We don't learn to forgive. You're a school teacher. I bet you've never taught a lesson on how to forgive. We don't teach kids that.
No, but the kids know if we discipline them that one day, that tomorrow's a new day, and we start from ground zero, and everything is positive.
Well, that's part of forgiveness. Not all of it, but it's part of forgiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is really about releasing oneself from being held by that resentment
kind of
and
a hostage,
anger.
yeah.
and he doesn't know that. I mean, he may know, but the only person that it hurts holding that grudge is me.
Yeah. So when you forgive, you let that go.
You let
now
it
you're
go.
a free person again.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank
Well, it's
you.
been our
Wonderful.
pleasure.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank
Dr.
you
Bach.
for having us.
Martin Denise, and this has been a great opportunity for us to kind of look at ways in which our family life can be stronger and enriched by our marriage being stronger and richer. I mean, it's
The
all,
children are the shadows on the wall.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. Let me give you the quote for the day. This is the parenting tip for the day. You have it on the screen in front of you. It's an important one. A happy marriage is the union of two forgivers. And that's what you just picked up. You have two people who forgive. That results in a marriage that is happy, or certainly happier than it would be otherwise. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next
very
week.
welcome.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you.